Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I just got through watching Stephen A. Smith basically get on television and essentially say that Ben Simmons should more or less forego his truth about his mental health to ease the minds of skeptics and individuals who otherwise think that they would be able to surmise what's going on in someone else's head. Some of the most ignorant television I'd seen, and there were a couple of people up there who were agreeing with him. I'm just sitting here listening to this like, wow, I'm absolutely and utterly insulted by this. First of all, just because Ben Simmons is able or unable to react to leaving Philadelphia with a certain level of exuberance that would allow him to play his first game does not mean that he was not suffering from a mental health issue that may have disabled him in his mind from wanting to play for Philadelphia the week before or for the last 6 months or whatever the hell his behavior was. That is not necessarily a sign that he is not suffering from something. They got on this camera today and more or less said that he needs to consider not telling people he has mental health issues because there's a clause in his agreement, more or less in his contract, so to speak, that would allow for him to get certain amounts of money or his entire salary if it is deemed a mental health issue. So essentially, Stephen A., man of the money, is saying that Ben Simmons is supposed to just adhere to saying that, nah, it's not a mental health issue, I just have a problem with Philadelphia, so that they can take his money from him. That's the honorable thing in this man's mind. Not being honest, regardless of what the situation is, but to make sure that he doesn't take advantage of this clause. That's essentially what Stephen A. was saying. That's what I took from it. He said that people are skeptics. Those people are ignorant. They obviously don't know the first thing about mental health issues, just like you don't, Stephen A., apparently. Even though you get on there and speak so matter-of-factly about it. It's ridiculous, really. Regardless of that clause, I don't think Ben Simmons should have had to lose any money either way. He should not have had to lose money, and he shouldn't have had to, quote unquote, lie about his mental health in order to get out of a toxic situation. And that he would deem it toxic could affect his mental health. Not everybody who has mental health issues is going around throwing shit everywhere and knocking people over the head, Stephen A. There's various levels to it. And just because there are individuals out there who believe themselves to be sane, like yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have something going on. Because obviously, there are some things going on with you too. Okay? Just because you think you got it all together does not mean we don't see signs of you having some issues yourself. So for you to speak so matter-of-factly as if you understand what people are going through just because they've begun the journey of their mental health and fixing that process and learning what it is that they're going through, regardless of whatever level they're on. And maybe you haven't, so you don't know what's going on with the inner child in you or what have you, or certain traumas that maybe you are hiding from and not allowing yourself to see that you are facing in real time when you bully people on television every single day, the way you do this man right now. This type of thing that you do with Kyrie Irving as well. Yeah, that's a sign of something wrong there. There's a lot of things wrong there. There's a lot of things wrong with me. There's a lot of things wrong with a lot of people. And they would be deemed mental health issues, whether you are aware of that or not. Now, whatever is said in that clause, I don't know. For all I know, there's language in there that would put him out there to be seen as someone who does not designate himself as a mental health candidate or what have you. Maybe through the language of the clause. As to which that should be between him and his lawyer and the franchise. We shouldn't even know anything about this. But nevertheless, you want to make a big deal after the fact about how he could have been lying about his mental health issues. Forgetting all about the idea and the notion that this young man was afraid to shoot the basketball, but has made 3 All-Star games. Help me understand how that's not a mental health issue. How can we have that bit of information, but then ignore that bit of information when considering whether or not his mental health is in question? We're supposed to forget about that unless it's time to bring up how inept of a player he is. That's how you guys try to paint him out. Because he can't shoot. Not that he's afraid to shoot, that he has a real issue that he needed to overcome in order to bring himself to shoot. for which would be deemed a mental health issue. Not to consider that at all. Just the narrative that you'd like to paint about him being a liar about a mental health issue. See, even if he told me he didn't have a mental health issue, I would have told you, no, this young man is lying about that. Why? Because he's a basketball player that's afraid to shoot. That right there is all I need to know. That right there is all anyone with a decent amount of understanding about what mental health issues actually are would need to know. It's the ignorant, in regards to that, who wouldn't see that as a sure sign that that's an issue. So no, you don't get to tell us that this guy is afraid to shoot and then tell us that we should question his honesty about his mental health, when I know it's hard enough telling people there's something wrong with you, let alone living with it every day. And the fact that he has to do it on the public eye. And the thing that bothers me even more, another little bit of information that you want us to ignore, is the fact that this young man literally gave back money for a whole 6 months while billionaires sat there and danced and toyed with his value. Yeah, we won't forget about that. He didn't take a coin. So how is it that you're trying to paint the picture that he was trying to take money when he in fact was forgoing money in this situation? So you're saying that clause makes it so that they have to get their money back? Is that what we're saying? That they're going to have to give him his money back because they took it from him? That's what you guys have been telling us all summer long and throughout the season, that he wasn't making money. So now you're telling me he gets it all back. So were you lying then? Which was it? I'm supposed to forget that bit of information as well, as you try to paint this kid out to be some greedy, money-hungry dude that wants to lie and take advantage of the fact that other people have mental health issues and he may not, even though he's afraid to shoot the basketball. And the last time we saw him, he was literally suffering from something because he's like 7 feet tall, could have dunked the ball, but instead dived it off to someone else. His behavior tells me everything this is to know in regards to him being someone who does, in fact, have mental health issues. But see, you only paint that picture when it's convenient for you guys. You don't paint that picture the whole time. You want us to forget certain truths so we'll be nodding our heads in agreement with nonsense and narratives that have never made any sense in the first place. Where two things can exist in one time, but certain information that you know is supposed to be forgotten at the same time. I don't know how to be that stupid, Stephen A. I don't have it in me. It's not there. What I do have is a mental health issue, and that's why I'm pissed off at watching what I saw there. So what I'll tell you is go get some help, and then you'll find out exactly what mental health issues are all about, because you have them. Then you can start to tell us about your journey and how wrong you were about this right here. And then don't tell us nothing else about what you think is going on in another man's mind, just because other people are just as ignorant as you are about the conversation. How about you, since you have their ear, feed them something that'll help them understand it, instead of spewing a bunch of nonsense that you don't know what you're talking about. That's just a suggestion from somebody in a situation that I'm trying to get myself out of mentally. You didn't help today. And I speak for a lot of people when I say you didn't help today. BDF 44.